welcome to the Marlow's Tavern, Emery Point. My name is Brandon Adams. This is Dog Nation's recruiting insider Jeff Sintel. We are live here for our Marlow's Countdown to Signing Day event, as we truly are counting down the final moments before National Signing Day 2018. And Jeff, it is shaping up to be a tremendous class for the Georgia Bulldogs, quite possibly the #1 class in the entire country when it's all said and done. We'll talk tonight about how Georgia gets that done, the final members of that class, who they might be, who they might not be. We'll try to deal with all that. But the thing tonight I'm the most excited about is coming up in just a couple of minutes, we're going to have a very special guest with us, the 5-star wide receiver, the nation's #1 wide receiver for the class of 2019, Jadon Haselwood from Cedar Grove High School. He's going to be right here with us on our Countdown to Signing Day event at the Marlow's. What a tremendous young man, a tremendous guest. Absolutely. Big hand for Haselwood. What a great guest coming up for us here in just a matter of minutes.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that obviously checks off every box as far as a player. I do like his personal story a lot and what football matters to him, but he's also a guy that he's just always smiling, and he understands that, yeah, this recruiting stuff is great for him, but he also knows that, he's got life pretty good, but he also enjoys it as well.
Yeah, I'm really happy about that, and that's the thing. Listen, we all like that. For these young men who get a chance to, live these lives, have these moments, you love the idea that they appreciate that they soak that all in and sort of enjoy every step along the way. You certainly get the impression that Haselwood's doing that, and that's great news for Georgia. We're looking forward to speaking to him in a couple of minutes here. Before that, though, there's a lot of business that you and I need to take care of here. As I said before, Georgia trying to be #1 in the country for recruiting for 2018. The guy that ensures that for Georgia, or maybe regains that status for Georgia, would seem to be the 5-star defensive back, 5-star cornerback, Tyson Campbell, maybe more than anybody else. That's the guy Georgia needs to grab if it wants to keep pace with the nation's elite. As we talked about on Dog Nation Daily this morning, here live at the Marlow's in Emery Point a couple of minutes ago, Campbell, while there's a lot of connections between he and Georgia, the visit a couple weeks ago seemed to go really well. It was the Tennessee visit last weekend, which no one's making that big of a deal about. Yeah. It's the Miami visit upcoming. Where do you think things stand right now between Georgia and the name that's probably paramount on the list, the 5-star cornerback Tyson Campbell?
Brendan, I think you won't have a good February if Tyson Campbell does not reside in Athens.
I really want this guy to come to Georgia. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you about that.
6'2.5", 180 pounds. Kind of a tandem of the nation's #1 and #2 cornerbacks that were at American Heritage High School. Everybody remembers American Heritage. That's where Sony Michel played ball growing up. That's where Marshall Morgan played. That's where Isaiah McKenzie played. I wouldn't read too much into that stuff. It's just maybe a good word from a guy that says, yeah, you're going to have a great time there. I enjoyed it, but find your own fit. And I think Georgia has prioritized Tyson for quite some time. Tyson is also a guy that has that size and length, everything you're looking for in a corner. Good day, he's running a 10.4. Bad day, he's running a 10.7, which is incredible, elite speed. And he's going to take that last official visit to Miami this weekend. Oddly enough, that's a school that, I don't know, it's probably a Jake Fromm pass to Mecole Hardman away from his home in Fort Lauderdale and even closer in the South Florida area, but hasn't visited Miami quite a lot, especially as maybe most might think. Especially a lot of Metro Atlanta guys get up to Athens a lot and visit Georgia a lot. He's just simply put the centerpiece of the class. He's been the #1 target for Georgia since the early signing period. And when it's all said and done, I think he could probably wind up as maybe the third or fourth most important member of the class at Georgia.
In the comment section, James Crum says, get Tyson Campbell, and I'm straight. So he's obviously feeling the same way that you are in terms of what Campbell's potential value could be to Georgia. Nick McGowan says Tyson Campbell's not going to be going to Tennessee, just saying. And I think we would all agree with that the visit almost may be more of a favor to Pruitt, or an example of the personal relationship he has with Jeremy Pruitt, more so than any kind of curiosity about Tennessee as a university. But you made the comparison between Campbell's relationship with Miami to Metro Atlanta guys when it comes to University of Georgia. Obviously, Georgia's a tough state to leave, right? I mean, there is, I don't want to say, pressure, that's the wrong word, but it's definitely good to go play for the in-state school, and it can be tough to commit to a non-in-state school for a kid in the Metro Atlanta area. Is there any kind of and for just lack of a better word, is there any kind of pressure here for Campbell to reconsider the hometown team, to make sure that he's dotted all of his I's and crossed all of his T's with Mark Richt's club before he makes a move somewhere else? I mean, how much South Florida pressure is on Campbell to give that strong consideration to Miami this weekend?
Well, I think the thing to think about there is just think about, Brandon, when you were 17, 18 years old. Did you really want to go to college 15 minutes away from where you grew up?
I just want to go wherever college would take me. I was not the valedictorian of my high school, I can promise you.
But something to think about there, and it's part of like when people ask, why is he taking all these visits if things are going great with a certain school? Well, I really have a lot of confidence when young men take a lot of their visits, because sooner or later in college something's going to change. The coordinator's going to leave. Maybe their position coach is going to leave. Maybe there are going to be 2 more 5-stars that follow a kid. And you really like for these kids to simply vet the decision. They're going to be sitting in their dorm room one day as a sophomore, and this class might be tough and this position fit might be tough, but they're going to sit there in that dorm room and they're going to think, I took all my visits.
Yeah.
I thoroughly researched it, and this was the spot for me, and I'm just going to make the best of it.
Kibo Weir in the comments section says signing day can't get here soon enough, and obviously we're really excited about that. It's one of the reasons why we're here live tonight at the Marlows and Emery Point, and of course we'll be here at 8 p.m., so if you're out watching us, you're somewhere in the Atlanta area, you can actually stop by and see us, and we'll hang out with you this evening. That's going to be a lot of fun, and obviously we love Marlows. They've been gracious hosts to us throughout the entire recruiting season. If you want to stop by the Marlows closest to you, you'll find out why Jeff and I like it so much. The chef-inspired food, the great cocktails. They have that sort of local tap at each one of the restaurants where the manager sort of picks that special local brew to kind of be a part of what you enjoy there. Each and every Marlows is just a little bit special for the neighborhood that it's in. That's why you want to check out the Marlows closest to you. And if you want to find out more about your Marlows, wherever it might be, text the word Marlows, M-A-R-L-O-W-S, no apostrophe in that, just M-A-R-L-O-W-S to 24242. You can become a Marlows Insider. You can get some special offers. You can find out more about what's going on at Marlows. Please check them out. And of course, we always appreciate Marlows giving us a home to talk recruiting here on these weeks leading up to National Signing Day. And speaking of the excitement about next Wednesday, one of the things that you said today on Dog Nation Daily, and by the way, we'll catch up with Jadon Haselwood, the 5-star wide receiver here in just a couple of minutes. But one of the things that you said on Dog Nation Daily today that I thought was pretty intriguing, and I think gets some Georgia fans even more excited about National Signing Day, is the possibility of it not being a choice for Georgia between QUAY Walker and Otis Reese, or a choice between Reese and Walker for who wants to accept Georgia first. That depending on how you want to slide these remaining scholarships around, how you want to kind of play with your numbers there may be room and an opportunity for both Reese and Walker in this class of 2018. Well, that's quite a haul at linebacker if that's the way that Georgia closes.
That would be the Brandon Adams of greed. If you
I mean, even I couldn't complain about anything at that point in time.
You got to remember, Channing Tindall was once a top 5 outside backer. Georgia's going to slide him in and make him a Roquan in Athens for the next couple of years. But you've got, let me see the math here. QUAY Walker is the number 3 outside backer. Otis Reese is the number 5 outside backer. Adam Anderson is the number 1 outside backer. You add in a guy like Brenton Cox, who was the number 2 strong side defensive end, who's going to play that jack at Georgia. Let's not forget Azeez Ojulari.
I like it.
I mean, Georgia's getting greedy at backer like they get greedy at quarterback with a lot of guys. And
but you got to stack these guys, Jeff. If you want to really get up the pass rusher, I mean, the quarterback with the pass rush, you got to stack these linebackers like that at the national championship level. Anyway, I mean, if you want to go to the Outback Bowl, you can have a couple of them. But if you want to really do what the top teams in the country are doing, then you got to stack them. You got to compile them.
Well, you ensure you're going to get an all-SEC level performer at that position.
That's right. Because that's what you do.
You got a lot of dudes there that you could say that guy's a 60% chance of making it. That guy's an 80. That guy's a 75 if he works hard. Well, sooner or later, those odds are ever going to be in Georgia's favor. And we had a neat little conversation, Brandon, during our pre-show here, where we kind of took the temperature of the Dog Faithful, the Dog Nation viewers here that were in the house today at Emery Point, and the room kind of leaned towards Otis Reese a little bit, the down south Georgia boy that everybody talks about there. And one little thing about all that, and I don't think we talk about this enough, but Georgia's going to recruit so many high-level players now. They're going to get the elite guys, but to me, there's a little bit extra that comes with getting a kid that grew up in the state that will go home and hear ragging from their neighbor or, you know, cousin Ed or Jimmy down at the tire shop or the barber shop about, you know, representing the state well. I think it just means more to kids like that. I've heard Richard LeCount tell me that a bunch of times. I've heard Nate McBride tell me that a bunch of times, especially that South Georgia player. And you got Middle Georgia, South Georgia, and Cordeal. You got Otis Reese down there in Leesburg. You got two guys there that would definitely, if we're talking about building a fence, if that's what the motto is, to keep all the great players in Georgia home and playing for Georgia. Those two good dudes right there would fit the bill. I want
to we'll welcome in Jadon Haselwood to our program about 1 or 2 minutes from right now. We'll talk to the Georgia wide receiver commit for the class of 2019, the #1 receiver in the entire country. We'll do that coming up in about 1 or 2 minutes here today on our Countdown to Signing Day special, live from the Marlows at Emory Point. In the comment section a moment ago, Jeff, Trey Dukes was talking about how the Georgia brand is growing. If you want to keep that brand growing even more, I mean, this is a great way to do it, right? You know, win with a QUAY Walker or an Otis Reese. Win with both Walker and Reese. Add them to a Tyson Campbell potentially. I mean, that's the Georgia brand from a recruiting standpoint bigger than it's ever been, because who would have thought that, you know, given the way the recruiting closed out in December, and I'm talking about even on the early signing day on December 20th, Georgia was still adding names right up until the final buzzer there. Who would have thought the way that thing unfolded that you would still leave for yourself a few big names even to come potentially in February, but it's been that kind of a 2018 recruiting cycle for Georgia.
It's different, Brandon. There's about 7 names everybody knows now instead of 24 or 30 where everybody is wondering about. And I know that and Tyson Campbell's the type of player, if Georgia still had all those ducks in the water, we'd still be talking about Tyson Campbell right now. That's how good he is.
Yeah.
But it's definitely kind of reduced stress, at least maybe as far as I hear from fans, about how there's not the worry about Jamari Sawyer. There's not the worry about Zamir White. There's not the worry about Justin Fields. But I want to share one point that I've heard about 4 times now over the last 2 weeks. And this is kind of how out-of-state coaches that used to want to get in the ring with a top Georgia prospect that Georgia was going after. There's just a higher degree of difficulty now with Kirby Smart and that staff at Georgia, whereas some guys would be like, all right, let's strap it up, let's go, let's see if we can get this guy and pull him out of Georgia. A lot of coaches now are wondering about the success ratio of that, and that might be a lost leader about how going into Georgia and getting a top player and maybe reeling him into their school is no longer anywhere near as easy as it used to be.
That's well said by Jeff Sintel. My name's Brandon Adams. This is our Countdown to Signing Day event here live at the Marlows at Emory Point, talking about how Georgia tries to put together the #1 class in the country for 2018. Also, our eye on what is potentially the #1 class in the country for 2019 as well. One of the guys that's going to lead the way in that regard is the 5-star wide receiver, the nation's #1 at his position for the class of 2019. It is Jadon Haselwood, a big fan favorite of the Georgia Bulldogs fans already. We're going to talk to him live here at the Marlows Emory Point. Before we do that, let's let you take a look at Haselwood when he made his decision to, as they say, commit to the G. And an exclusive video with DogNation.com. Here is him explaining why he wanted to go to Georgia. And then we'll talk to Haselwood live right here at the Marlows in Emory Point. Good to have you with us.
My name is Jadon Haselwood. I'm 15 years old, and I'm just a sophomore in high school. This may sound crazy, but I'm ready to make my college decision. I'm getting a lot of attention from colleges. I've been ranked as the nation's #2 receiver in my class. That's a blessing, but it brings a lot of stress. I'm ready to be done with it all. Am I too young to make my college commitment though?
We gotta take off on these routes. That smooth.
Some people might say that, but they don't know my situation.
Man, you looking good out there, man. I can't believe you 2019. You better be ready to play early.
Can I ask you guys a question?
What's up?
How did y'all know y'all was ready to commit?
You commit? You just a sophomore, man.
I know, but I feel ready. How would I know?
I know I want you to go, but I'm not gonna pressure you about it. But I would love for you to be a part of the family, though. You'll know when you know, bro. It's gonna feel like home.
Thanks, guys. I got a little more thinking to do, man. Catch y'all boys later. When I work out, everything's for a reason. Some guys live to get strong. I work on things that will help me in the game. When I work out, everything just seems to clear with my college decision. I'm stuck on one school. The fan base treats me like I'm on campus, and I don't even go there yet. I see a national championship by the time my years are up.
Another good workout, man. Keep that up. Keep grinding.
Yes, sir. You know I got you.
I heard you ready to commit.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big step.
I know.
Talk to Tori and Justin?
I got some good advice from him. I know I'm ready now.
Are you sure? You're just a sophomore now. You gotta convince me.
I know you want me to visit other schools, but if I had a choice, I'd just visit one. My mind and my heart is locked on one place.
All right, Jadon. You seem ready. You sold me. Can't wait for your decision.
Appreciate it, Coach. You really helped me through this process. My mind and my heart are locked on one place. Come here, Rookie. Everybody meet Rookie. We're here to change the game. New breed 19. Georgia boys gotta stay home. Commit to the G. What up, baby? What's up, baby? What up, baby? Welcome to the family, man. Savage now. Go Dogs! Playing with them savages, baby. Family, baby. Savages, savages, savages.
No, you're good.
Back here live at the Marlows at Emory Point, Brandon Adams, Dog Nation's Jeff Sintel with the man of the hour, the 5-star wide receiver Jadon Haselwood, his high school coach there at Cedar Grove with the Saints, Coach Jimmy Smith. And gentlemen, first of all, thank you so much for being here. Jadon, let me start with you. Congratulations on what has been a phenomenal ride for you in your high school career thus far. A UGA commit, as you said during the video we just watched. You wanted to get it over with early. You felt comfortable, ready to make the decision. You got some advice from some of your high school teammates that kind of trailblazed for you on the way to University of Georgia. Let me say congratulations on where you are up to this point, and it's great to have you with us here on the program tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And Coach Smith, to you as well, I'll say congratulations on what has been a great run for Cedar Grove here, putting guys in the University of Georgia. Had a chance to get to know some of the young men from last year, a part of that class of 2017. Now with Jadon Haselwood here, about to be a part of the class of 2019. Congratulations to you for what has been a great run for your Saints.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So Jadon, this is the simplest way to ask this question. Can you share with everybody out there why the fit is so good for you at Georgia?
I mean, we got the #1 quarterback for the class of 2018, of course. Me and him, we got a lot of chemistry. We played on the same 7-on-7 team. Like, if nobody there, he gonna throw it to me regardless.
You're gonna go up and get it, right?
Go get it.
So I've always been curious, because obviously I'm not a quarterback or a wide receiver. When you think about chemistry, and I've watched certainly enough football to know how important chemistry is between the guy that's catching the passes, the guy that's throwing them. But how is that developed? Is part of that the friendship, the relationship that you have off the field? Is it all about the instincts that you have together on the field? How do you develop chemistry with a quarterback the way that you seem to already have it from the 7-on-7 world with Justin Fields?
I would say it's both, because like, you got to get timing down. Timing is very important in route running and throwing the ball. So, and then of course, if you don't build a relationship outside of that, he's not even gonna look your way on the field. You know what I'm saying?
That's a really good point. And I think a lot of Georgia fans spend time thinking about when you put a guy like you into the offense. Obviously Georgia's only going to get better with the offensive line because of guys like Notori and Justin Schaefer and people like that being added into what's kind of already there. The running game continues to be strong, and then you add the extra dimension of a 5-star wide receiver. Do you also allow yourself to think about what your skill set could do in concert with the other talent that's already on that Georgia offense?
For sure, I can contribute, like, because the run opens up the pass anyway. So that's like that flea flicker.
Yeah.
Everybody was expecting run first play of the game, and then boom, touchdown.
That's right, Jeff. I mean, that Mississippi State game where the flea flicker took place, I mean, that's what a wide receiver can do for an offense, right?
Yeah.
So Jadon, I'm looking at the video while we're getting set up, and I'm looking at that day. And first of all, we got to talk a little bit about Rookie. the dog that was very hard to film. If you're going to be as hard to cover in the SEC as Rookie was hard to film that day, that's going to be something. But physically, how are you different? Your body, how has it changed maybe just over the last year? How tall are you now? How much do you weigh?
I'm about 187 right now. I don't think I grew that much. Probably still like 6'3" and a half. But I'm just continuing working on my craft. Of course, no days off.
Coach Smith, I want your take on this. Jadon was almost college ready, maybe good enough to play a lot of spots his sophomore year on your state championship team. What did you see junior year? What were the strides he made in terms of his game?
He's got better at everything he was doing, blocking, route running. He always could high point the ball real well. But I think the biggest thing was we began to trust him more and give him more opportunities to do some other things. I think one of the biggest things he helped us out with was special teams. A 6'3" punt returner is not common. So.
And when you see a guy like that who's willing to do that job, because obviously we know the thing about you're returning kicks, that's a physical job, right? Because you can get really rocked out there. I mean, that tells you about his ability as a wide receiver as well, right? That he's going to be able to withstand going across the middle, anything like that, because he's able to stand back there and catch those punts and do those things for you, right?
Yeah, it's funny you said that, but I mean, many people don't know it, but he's just as good at safety. I mean, I think he loves wide receiver more because he works at it more, but at safety he gets a chance to really hit people, and that's one of the things that correlates to the offense because he don't mind contact.
When was it that you first realized, and it could be really for any reason, that Jadon had a chance to be a special football player?
8th grade.
Was there a particular moment that comes to mind?
I can say the championship game, 8th grade year. On defense, he was at middle linebacker, and he made like every other tackle. And then on offense, they was behind, and they just threw it up far as they could. And they were like, great pass, quarterback, and I was like, no, it wasn't. but he just went and got it and did a great job. So, I mean, I knew then that he was going to be a special football player.
And Jadon, we'll give you the microphone back here. I mean, is that about the same time for you that, I mean, obviously when you're young guy, 8th grader, you got a lot of confidence, but did you also have those same feelings of, this football thing's actually coming kind of easy for me here?
I never thought it was easy. Like, I thought the game was definitely going to change when I get to high school. So I was when I came in, I was kind of shook, but
sure.
I didn't let that faze me.
And then, Jeff, Jadon's such a part of not just a great story in his own right, but a 2019 class that's coming together in such a big way for UGA. And that's one of the things that I think a lot of Georgia fans are excited about is the way that Jadon fits into the bigger picture for 2019, which is a class that has every right to think it's going to be just as dazzling as 2018 class has been thus far.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you look at what Kirby did last year, number 3 overall, and then this year it's going to be 1st or 2nd regardless. Those are back-to-back the 2 best years in Georgia recruiting history before stars were ever stars. Remember Max Preps All-Americans?
Sure.
Or do you remember Prep Star All-Americans and Tom Lemming? That was basically all you had. You had these little digests that came out with all the recruiting guys. And I want to ask Jadon this question because Jadon's a guy that's always chill. He's a guy that's like, people are going to go where they're going to go. I hope they go and find their best fit because that's what you want for yourself. But what do you think the 2019 class can be? I know you know dudes like Dominic. We had Dominic on the show a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things about Dominic is he likes to drink milkshakes. His mom makes him milkshakes, a vanilla milkshake every night of his life. He gets a vanilla milkshake. So we started calling him around Dog Nation Dominic Milkshake Blaylock. And then some of our fans went with it and they went like shake and bake because like Dominic would be the shake and then Jadon would be the bake and he would bake and roast up the cornerback. But in this class, who are you hoping or would you like to see join you that you got your eye on that would be a nice piece for 2019?
Owen.
Oh, yeah. What do you like about Owen? What can you tell people about Owen's game?
He's like one of the fastest linebackers that I know. Like he can move.
Let's ask our audience. Would you guys like to see Owen Popo be a part of Georgia's 2019 class? Yeah. I think the audience here, the Marlows and Emory Point, I think they kind of agree with that. Jadon, is the kind of thing that you're paying a lot of attention to this kind of stuff? Are you following what people are saying on social media, the blogs? Who's close to committing? Who's maybe thinking about other places, either for the class of 2018, 2019? How much do you allow yourself to pay attention to that kind of stuff?
I really don't. I ain't gonna lie. Like I be trying to focus on myself, but when I see something on Twitter or something, I retweet it, but that don't mean I read it. Read the whole thing.
I think a lot of us are probably kind of like that a little bit. Last question for me. When you saw what Georgia was able to do this season, get to the national championship game, you obviously had seen some things you liked about Georgia well before that, but this was a special year for Georgia. The SEC championship, get to the national championship game, go to the Rose Bowl, win. What was it like for you? You already liked Georgia, but then you saw the success on the field this year. What was it like watching all that kind of unfold this season?
You can ask Jeff. When he interviewed me after I committed, I told him we're going to win the first 5 games.
Wow. So you already had some confidence then?
I called it. And then we went above and beyond after that.
And see, the thing with Jadon, and there was a point where I think going back to G-Day last April, every time Georgia was holding a game or something at Sanford Stadium, you were there. There was a point where I remember there was a picture we had on Dog Nation, and it was him in the recruiting bleachers. And Jadon saw it, and he was like, man, I just look so happy there. What is it that makes you happy? Is it Coach Cooley? Is it the fit? What makes you so happy right now to be a Georgia Bulldog?
Like the people that's around, I'm a pretty laid-back person. Like I smile at everything. I'm pretty goofy, so you're gonna see me joking around. And I was with former commit Rashad Cheney Jr. Like that's my bro, man. So me and him, we go at it all day.
Yeah, he's a guy that it was funny because it was almost a point where it was like, oh, Jadon's not going this week because he was like Lou Gehrig because he'd been like to every game and he'd even went to like the maybe not so strong opponent game and everything else like that. Jadon, give us an example. When you committed, you said still going to take my visits. What will be your remainder of your process? What does that look like right now, or what do you think you might do?
I'm in the process of scheduling my officials right now. Like I'm taking my first one in April to Oklahoma, of course. But that doesn't change my opinion on Georgia. Like I see fans commenting like, someone told me respect the fans and we'll respect you or something like that. And I just looked at it and was like, man, y'all don't understand. You only can do it one time.
Yeah. Coach, I want one more question with you because I think the world as how we've had to adjust to the early signing period. You guys as coaches have never had to do with advising these young men about taking officials in April and in May. What do you think that will be like? And what's maybe the stuff you've already picked up already to give your boys advice about taking officials not in the fall but taking officials in the spring?
I think it's a good thing to take officials in the spring just because it's so difficult in the fall. First of all, you have to match up a Saturday when you don't have a Saturday game. Yeah. And they got to have recruits on campus that weekend, and it can't be the same weekend you want to go to another school, so it's just too much. Also in the spring it's a lot more laid back, so I think they have more time. So I like it. I think there's more work for the college coaches, but I guess they probably like it too.
Coach Smith, a quick final question from me, if you don't mind. When you look at Jadon's final year, senior season, next 12 months, how do you want to see him grow? How do you want to see him develop? What do you want to see from this young man as he gets ready to make his final high school push and then move on to his college career?
I want to continue to work on his craft, and I always tell my guys, good is the enemy of great. So don't get satisfied with being good, because this year we got a lot of guys, not only Jadon but other guys too, that's really stepping it up, and I want them to get what they deserve in this championship.
Well, you've done great work with these young men. Jadon Haselwood's a guy that's already making Dog Nation proud. We're looking forward to seeing one more year of him in the Saint uniform. Thank you for your time, Coach. Jadon, thanks for your time as well. Big hand for those guys here being with us, the Marlows and Emory Point, on our countdown to signing day event. And by the way, next upcoming Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, it is National Signing Day. We will be there live from during the daytime, starting at 10 a.m. We'll do Dog Nation Daily Live from the Marlows and Dunwoody, then a special not just countdown to signing day, but essentially a signing day special live there at the Marlows in Dunwoody. Be sure to make plans to be there with us. We've got some special surprises, some special guests that are going to be on hand for that. It's going to be a really great time to kind of really recap and sort of put the punctuation mark on what is going to be a phenomenal close for Georgia with its 2018 class. Marlows in Dunwoody coming up on National Signing Events next Wednesday, starting at 10 a.m. We'll do Dog Nation Daily Live. Doors open at Marlows there in Dunwoody around 11 a.m. We're going to be in there, and then a great conversation of the recap of the recruiting going to be going down for you there at the Marlows in Dunwoody. That starts next Wednesday on National Signing Day. We'll be telling you a lot about that on Dog Nation Daily coming up, but I want to go ahead and give you an idea of being a part of that with us a little more than a week from right now for National Signing Day. And Jeff, Jadon Haselwood, a lot to like about that young man, both on the field, phenomenal player. The highlight film speaks for itself, but also getting a chance to know him more. Coach Jimmy Smith, who's become a good friend of ours here at Dog Nation as well. And you just see a lot of reasons why you're glad that guy's going to be a part of that 2019 class for Georgia.
Yeah, I think Jadon is a guy that, he made that comment.
We'll see if we can get Jeff's microphone squared away there. While we do, I'll pull up a couple comments here while we get Jeff kind of taken care of on that. Bobby Piper in the comment section weighing in on Jadon Haselwood's plan to take some visits. I love what he says here. He says, soak it up, young man, once in a lifetime opportunity. I think you and I both agree with that as well. This is a guy that wants to enjoy this process, wants to take what's rightfully his here. And I don't think any of us could dispute that whatsoever.
Yeah, it's just so funny because, he made the comment somebody reached out to him on social media and said respect the team or respect the fans. Well, he is actually respecting the team and his commitment by doing everything he can to solidify it. And we made this point on one of my Wednesday night live shows. Georgia has 20 signees in this class. They have 2 commitments. 9 of them were a decommitment from another school. So at some point, you've got a lot of young men who looked around and maybe their heart was set on one spot, and then they eventually came back to where they belong and where they kind of found out their best fit was. And I think that's what all these young men should do, because you guys, you really don't know how hard they work. All their time is accounted for. They literally never see their phone a lot until late in the day, and then they're so tired. Sleep is probably their girlfriend for a lot of players when you think about meetings and you think about practice and school and study hall and then rehab and then treatment and then another session and everything else. What they devote to Georgia and what they devote to any school is basically unmatched, and they deserve the right to make their own decision on their own pace.
Let's take 2 minutes here and wrap up with a couple of other names. Chris Lance Howell asks about Jordan Davis. He is obviously a committed, unsigned player for the class of 2018. Makes me also think of Rick Sandidge. Rick Sandidge we talked a lot about today on Dog Nation Daily, but as far as the latest on Rick Sandidge right now, how that fits into a situation with potentially Jordan Davis or Walthour as well here. I mean, what do you think about what's going on with Sandidge and what's going on with these committed, unsigned defensive tackles? Where are we on all this right now?
Well, I would say that there's no mode or there's no model where Georgia doesn't have a defensive tackle in this class, because you got to remember what they did and didn't sign in 2017. They've got Devontae Wyatt. You read a recent blog on Dog Nation. Devontae Wyatt is expected to be a contributor in his first season at Georgia this fall. But Jordan Davis, Rick Sandidge, Tramel Walthour. We've heard a lot of good things about Tramel Walthour. Everything is still probably rock steady with him right there in Georgia. Jordan Davis is the guy. Does he become a casualty with Rick Sandidge? Well, Rick Sandidge told me that maybe the Georgia guy that he is the closest to, maybe one of the biggest ambassadors that he would be playing with would be Jordan Davis.
That's ironic. That's really ironic.
It's so funny. Could Georgia end up with 3 defensive tackles? Then how do they get 2 outside linebackers and a receiver? That'd be some funny math right there. I just think that what Georgia's building and what Georgia's done, nothing that's left on the table in this class should surprise people, because they do have 6 5-stars signed and with a very good shot at adding 7 5-stars. There's this guy in Florida named Tyson Campbell.
I've heard of him, actually.
Have you heard of him?
I've been meaning to ask you about him.
Tyson Campbell. Maybe it's another show, Brandon, but you know what? That boy's pretty good.
Yeah, he is. He is. We should do a conversation about him at some point in time. We obviously say in jest. And, as we were saying here at the Marlows and Emory Point before our broadcast started, so much of this conversation, both tonight, in terms of the 2018 guys and on Dog Nation Day today, a lot of that is sort of defensive-minded, defensive-oriented. And yet, as some of our folks who are hanging out with us tonight on site here at the Marlows and Emory Point, we're saying there's also the 4-star wide receiver Tommy Bush. He's still out there. He is still at least enough in play for Georgia that there's a lot of social media photos of in-home visits being made to Bush way out there. Just to kind of close out our discussion tonight, how does Bush fit into this mix here?
Well, first of all, Bush, 6'5", about 191, 4.4 speed, 38-inch vertical. There's only one other guy that Georgia has like that, and that is Matt Landers, the redshirt freshman that turned a lot of heads. So we got to remember, at one point Georgia had 2 commitments at receiver. And when we think about how this class has lost a little weight over the last month in terms of New Year's resolution, remember names like Aaron Brule?
Oh, yeah.
You remember names like Elijah Moore?
Been a while.
Those guys are no longer a part of that class, and it almost kind of just thinned things out for the possibility of a Quay Walker, the possibility of a OTIS REESE to remain in this class. And Bush is a guy that Georgia doesn't have enough of and Alabama's got a lot of those dudes. But I'm with you, Brandon, on that. If you're looking at the mindset of what this program needs to do, they're going to play Alabama a lot more times and a lot more big games. That could be the SEC championship game. Will probably be Alabama, Georgia Part 2, Part 3, Part 4 over the next 3 or 4 years. And how you're going to defend Alabama right now with Tua and all those 4- and 5-star receivers, you need more corners. You need more guys that can affect the launch points and get after it. You need more defensive linemen. And you got to remember, the whole building block of Georgia's program, besides 5-star quarterbacks and 5-star running backs, and maybe soon to be 5-star receivers, it's definitely on that defensive side of the ball.
Without a doubt, we're looking forward to seeing how it closes out for the class of 2018. Of course, Marlow's been a big part of our coverage of this for the entire recruiting cycle. Back in December, we were having a good time here. It's been fun through the month of January. We've got one more stop to make on our Marlow's recruiting tour. It's National Signing Day next Wednesday. During the day, during your lunch hour, we're going to be there live at the Marlow's in Dunwoody. We'll be telling you a lot about that on Dog Nation Daily in the days to come. If you have not become a Marlow's insider, please make sure you do that. Text the word Marlow's to 24242. You can do that today. You'll love the chef-inspired food if you haven't visited the Marlow's closest to you. The craft cocktails, that local tap, pouring that local brew, specially selected for the Marlow's closest to you. You got to check out Marlow's if you have not done that. Jeff and I obviously love that, and we mean it when we say it. It is a fun place to hang out here on these Tuesday nights, or anytime you can get by the Marlow's nearest you. So can we do this here live at every point? Can we give Marlow's a big hand for being such a gracious host for us? As always, thank you. And how about also a big hand as well for Jadon Haselwood, the 5-star wide receiver, with us as well. Really good stuff from Jadon Haselwood tonight. Jeff's got his intel for you tomorrow morning. He'll have that posted at dognation.com. That's must-read stuff this time of year. I'll also see you at 10 a.m. tomorrow for Dog Nation Daily Live. More on this Georgia recruiting class, more on these kind of final pieces, how they fit in. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope you can join us there for that. Thanks for being with us here this evening, though. Let's get ready to enjoy a big push towards the close of the 2018 recruiting cycle on National Signing Day. We'll talk to you once again very soon from a Marlow's near you in the days ahead. Y'all have a great evening.